The world must not forget that it was the United States which, in the midst of a process to forge a diplomatic outcome, betrayed diplomacy by supporting the genocidal Israeli regime's launch of an illegal war of aggression on the Iranian nation. Not content with such malign actions, the United States itself has now also opted for a dangerous military operation and aggression against the people of Iran. In doing so, the US administration holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences of its actions, including the Islamic Republic of Iran's right to self-defense under the principles of the United Charter. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its security interests and people. Thank you very much.
Shalom. I want to start by saying all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Hakwadash, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to I can pushing this word in all sincerity and honesty, and the hopeful elect constantly enduring. Shalom. My name is Korah Allah, and Lord wills makes for edifying lesson. The title is going to be "The Time for Diplomacy is Over." Now, I just played a video before I started speaking, all right, and who you saw speaking was a Iranian diplomat, and he's up there, you know, one of the top Iranian diplomats. Okay, look him up. His name is Abbas. Abbas Araghchi. I know I probably pronounced that wrong, Salakia, but look him up. But he made some key statements. But one thing he said was the time for diplomacy is over. Okay, why? Because as he comes to understand, as all these nations do, and as the world does, okay, which the elect of Israel already knows that you cannot come to an agreement with Esau. Only thing he knows is bloodshed. Okay, so let me start with Isaiah 13:4. It says, "The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together." All right, and what's that noise going into? Those nuclear missiles. All right. It says, "The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle." Okay. The Lord of hosts, Yahweh of armies, mustereth the hosts of the battle. Right. The Yahweh Bashim Yahshua controls this thing. Okay. So if there's a chain of commands, it's the Most High. Yahweh Shai received those orders, and then Yahweh Shai gives out the orders. All right, not only to the angels, but also, you know, working on the minds of these kings and of people. All right. Let's go to Mustereth real quick. Paquad, okay, Strong's H6485. It says to pay attention, to observe, to visit upon, punish, okay, to appoint, assign, all right, to be visited, to visit upon, to be appointed, to be watched over, to muster, call up, right? So these nations are being called into battle. Okay, so peace treaties, okay, any diplomacy, we entering a time where things are getting hot, all right? And it's going to get nuclear hot. Isaiah 13:5 says, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, Yahweh, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Okay, now what's that weapon that'll destroy the whole land? It's going into those nuclear missiles, right? That's why it's known as the last reserves. Okay, now for example, Israel, they have something called the Samson's option. Okay, which which you know what? Let's look that up real quick. It says the Samson option is a deterrent strategy of massive retaliation with nuclear weapons as a last resort against any country whose military has invaded or destroyed much of Israel. The term was popularized by Seymour Hersh 1991 book, The Samson's Option, Israel's Nuclear Arsenal and American Foreign Policy. It says, commentators also have employed the term to refer to situations where non-nuclear, non-Israeli actors have threatened. Okay, the Samson's option. Okay, so the last resort is to make sure you take as much lives as you can when you're going out. All right, so when Israel is being destroyed, which is going to be destroyed according to the scriptures, right? That's Amos, the 9th chapter. Israel is going to be destroyed, and so is America. Guess what? America is going to do the same thing. Okay, because they're dishonorable people. All right, they're the low. This is why the scriptures say the least of the nations shall draw them out. All right, this is the type of person you're going to war with, a person that cannot take a loss. Okay, it says they come from a far country, from the end of heavens, right? These missiles are known as ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, right? Meaning what? These missiles travel from continent to continent. We know Russia has it. We know America has it. We know China has it. Okay, we know Israel has it. Iran may or may not have it. Okay, France and other countries, regions, they have nuclear capability. All right. It says that's why it says from continent to continent. It says even the Lord and the weapon of his indignation to destroy the whole land, right? Because it's the Lord's weapons actually. The Lord put the spirit on Esau to be able to come up with such an idea to split the atoms and create a weapon of mass destruction, right? Is ultimately to do the Lord's will. All right, everything you've seen go down, you see Esau being proud, and you see him being proud through Trump. Okay, and you see these nations losing patience and also losing faith in America and with America. All right, so this is not just, but this is prophecies being fulfilled. We watching it happen, and the main thing we gonna see one of the last prophecies. After the chip, the RFID microchip is implemented, we're gonna see nuclear missiles fly in the skies, man. And America is gonna be one of those targets, and Israel is gonna be one of those targets. Okay, this is prophecies being fulfilled that we watching, man. Okay. So it says, 1 Thessalonians 5:3 says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction." Okay, so the time for peace talks is over. The time for the time for diplomacy is over. Okay, now Iran, they're very good at diplomacy. All right, that's why they have strong nations as allies, mainly Russia and China. Okay, here it is. The Straits of Hormuz is cut off, but Iran is allowing key nations to continue business as usual. And what that's going to do is going to put them in a position of power, okay, in a position to make more allies and more deals, and ultimately making them stronger and making them more of a threat for U.S. and Israel. Okay, but it says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction." Right, so there's no peace and safety. Okay, now the regular people on the streets that's going about their business, trying to make a living, okay, trying to prosper in this kingdom or believe in this kingdom, they will seek peace and they will seek safety, right? But if you have your if you have your spiritual eyes, spiritual ears open, you would see that there's nothing coming to the future of this place but death and destruction. It says, "Then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." Okay, so that destruction is going to come. All right, now, right now you're hearing about wars in different regions, maybe in Europe. You might hear wars in Asia. You might hear of wars in the Middle East. Okay, but best believe, right, war is coming to the shores of America. Okay, war is coming to the shores of America, and people are gonna, the American people especially, are gonna be destroyed because they don't know what it is for nuclear missiles, Slovakia. They don't know what it is for missiles to fly over your head. Okay, so when they see that, they're gonna be in a state of shock and fear. All right, it says, "As travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." It says, "But ye brethren are not in darkness, that the day should overtake you as a thief." Right, that day's not gonna overtake the elect as thieves, because why? They're out there. Not only are they prophesying, but they're watching. Okay, they're praying to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. They're, you know, keeping up with the news and matching it up with prophecies. Okay, because we are in the time, those last days. It says, "But ye brethren are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief." Now, watching this whole thing go down, and we could see clearly. Listen, this is all prophecies going down. Okay, lo will I man the Lord. Psalms 55:21 says, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords." And they've made treaties, they had peace talks with Iran, and every single time they had these peace talks, they would turn around and attack that country. Okay, this is Joel 3:10, and I'll end it here. It says, start 9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, pick up the mighty men, the older men of war draw near, let them come up." Okay, so yeah, that war is coming, man. All these nations are being prepared. Okay, I believe it's like over 40 different nations. Let me check it out right now, real quick. How many countries are part of Iran U.S. war. It says the war between the United States and Iran continues to escalate and pull in other Middle Eastern countries and beyond into the conflict, which launched when the U.S. and Israel began strikes on Iran February 28th. Okay. It says it's like I think it was like 40 countries. Try this one more time. How many countries involved in Iran and U.S. conflict? It says, with reporters' suggestion, up to 20 countries are militarily involved, supplying or shielding, making it a widespread regional crisis. Okay, so they want to call it a conflict, but really what it is, it's a war. It's the beginning of the Third World War. Okay, it says, Joel 3:10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. And of course, Iran at one point wouldn't stand up to the American army, right? But now here it is. They are. Okay. Let me see. I want to check something real quick. What is Iranian nuclear power plant used for? Okay. So let's see what the Iranian nuclear power plant is used for. It says primarily used for civilian electricity production, providing power to hundreds of thousands of homes and industries. Beyond power generation, the infrastructure and use of sweater desalination and the production of medical radioisotopes. Okay, it says while Iran maintained its program is strictly peaceful, international observers and Western governments express concern that the associate technology and fuel cycle facilities could be used to develop nuclear weapons. Okay, so here it says in Joel 3:10 says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. All right, so here it is. At the time, Iran is saying they don't have any weapons of mass destruction, any nuclear weapons. Okay, but if you keep shooting them with bombs to destroy them, then they will have, at some point, Iran will have to defend itself. Okay, now does it have nuclear weapons? You keep messing around and you're gonna find out. Okay, which I believe if they don't, it will be given to them anyways. Okay, by Russia. But Lord said to find lesson, I want to say all praise, honor, glory goes to Yahweh, Bashim, Yahushai, Bashim, Hakadash, double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders, grand millstone, and salutation, stocking, pushing this word, city, honesty. Shalom.